Coming up next on Public Access TV is Fan to Fan, a half-hour sports interview show hosted by me, Dave Hornfischer. In this episode, we're talking baseball with Dick Flavin. Stay tuned. This is going to be a fun time, and it may rhyme. Dick is the Red Sox Poet Laureate, and more. Welcome to Fan, a sports interview show. I'm your host, Dave Hornfischer, and I'm pleased to welcome back one of my favorite guests, Dick Flavin, Red Sox Poet Laureate and beloved Sox commentator, and just an all-around good guy. Dick, a lot has happened since we chatted here in 2018. It's, the Red Sox won a championship. We had the last Mookie championship, I guess we could call it. But sort of before we forget, might you have a bit of an ode about that 2018 season?
Well, the 2018 season is ancient history as far as I'm concerned. And I worry about Mookie. Mookie's only hitting 250, you know.
He is, yeah. Verdugo is outplaying him.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. So you never know.
There they are.
Those guys sign those big contracts, and as anxious as they are to fulfill the money that they're making, it's pretty tough to do that year in and year out. And now in the first year of Mookie making the real money, he's only hitting 250. The answer is, I don't have a piece on the Red Sox championship itself.
Or that season, yeah.
No, I don't. It's a long time ago now.
It is beginning to be ancient history.
Yeah.
And then after that, there was 2 last place finishes, which, Red Sox fans of our age were probably more used to. And we had that little pandemic too, but we won't talk about that. But we're used to, my grandchildren don't remember the Red Sox as losers, but I still have scars, and I think I see one on your shoulder there somewhere too.
Plenty of them.
Might you have an ode that started somewhere after 1946?
Well, my friend Marty Nolan, who was an editor of the Globe, after the ball went through Bill Buckner's legs, he met with his friends and he said, "The bastards killed my father, now they're coming after me." So it was the genesis of this. They're coming after us, gang, they're coming after us. The Red Sox killed our fathers, now they're coming after us. They draw us in each season, win our undying trust, and then they break our hearts, gang, our hopes all turn to dust. A muffed ground ball, an ump's bad call, an innocent pop fly. A manager's decision can make a grown man cry. When victory seems within our grasp, when everything's a plus, that's when we should brace ourselves. They're coming after us.
I think we have a picture of Slaughter sliding home in 1946, which for years, I think, before the Buckner mistake and a few others with managerial issues.
Well, Slaughter sliding across home, that's the day that I learned that all stories don't end happily ever after.
Well, that was yeah, and you got very close with Johnny Pesky, who was sort of unfairly chastised for
yes,
that
he
moment.
was. Yes, he was. Pesky had grown up with the old baseball axiom that you never blame a teammate, even when the teammate might be to blame. And what happened on that play was Dom DiMaggio had hurt himself the half inning before, and they brought Leon Culberson in to play center field. And Harry Walker hit a ball into left center field. Slaughter was running on the pitch, and he kept going, and Culberson was slow getting to it and just lobbed the ball into Pesky, and Culberson saw that and took off, and Pesky did hesitate for half a second, but Culberson was safe by a mile.
Yeah, Slaughter. Yeah.
Slaughter
Yeah.
was,
Yeah. My grandfather was a gas house gang lover of the, and he always talked about Enos Slaughter when I was a kid. And I saw that picture and I heard that story, and I said,
I was with Dom DiMaggio once at a golf tournament, and we ran into Enos Slaughter. And the first thing Slaughter said, he said, "I never would have tried it if you were still in the game."
Yeah.
And DiMaggio just laughed and said, "I'd have had you by 20 feet if you did."
Yeah. Well, Buckner might have fielded the ball if Mookie Wilson didn't hit it.
There's a wonderful book out on Red Smith, a compilation of his columns on baseball. And the morning of the 7th game of that World Series, he said the 2 players to watch are not Williams and Musial. They're getting all the headlines. But the 2 best players in this World Series have been Enos Slaughter and Dom DiMaggio.
Yeah.
And DiMaggio hit a double in the top of the 8th inning to tie the game, score 2 runners. And DiMaggio was thinking triple when he hit it. And as he rounded first, he felt a pop in the back of his leg and barely made it into second. And they had to take him out of the game. And that day that we met Enos Slaughter, who fielded the ball, he said, if the ball had been 2 feet more towards center field, it wouldn't have been in that screen that held off balls from going out into short right field in the ballpark in Sportsman's Park. He said that would have been a home run.
Yeah. Oh.
And DiMaggio would have stayed in the game, and the Red Sox might, have won that World
Baseball's
Series.
A game of inches, they always say, right? Yeah. Well, that sort of started a whole slew of things, but now we move on to we've had all these championships and flags and pennants and parades, and we got the 2021 Red Sox. And as my son might have said to me, he said, "Dad, I think I can hear that giant sucking sound coming again from New England. I think you're getting bought in." You think we're being sucked in again?
I had absolutely no hopes for this season when it started because they had totally broken down the team. They had all kinds of new players who I was not familiar with. But so far, so good. They're fun to watch this year. We're getting high-scoring games with the spin rate being highlighted. But
I was going to talk to you about all those no-hitters that were happening early, but all of a sudden the dynamic has changed, hasn't it?
They had 6 no-hitters in the first 2 months of the season. And the record for a whole season, the modern record, is 7 for the whole season. And they had 4 months to get 1 more and tie the record. They were well on their way, but things have changed in the last couple of weeks.
Well, they've got some exciting players. I particularly like this Verdugo that they got.
Verdugo's terrific. He's fun to watch. He gets as much enjoyment out of playing to watch him as Mookie did.
Yeah, he does. He does.
Mookie's only hitting 250 for.
And Verdugo's a lot younger now too.
Yeah. He's younger and he's a lot more inexpensive.
So, do you have another poem in there somewhere about some of the Red Sox players, current and past, or you've got this lovely book here. Well, we'll talk a little more about that later that Dick wrote called
Rooting
Red Sox
for the
Rhymes.
Old Town team has twists and turns to make one scream. It's not a simple, easy glide. It's like a roller coaster ride. It takes you to the very top. My God, you're in a nosedive drop. A look of panic's on your face. You plummet right into last place. You careen at breakneck speed. Then your nose might start to bleed. You hold on tight. You're one scared pup. Then you think you might throw up. Then once again you're back on top. Then comes another belly flop. The ride gives you the Red Sox bends. And worst of all, it never ends.
It never does. Well, it's been looking a little too easy in recent years, but this team does give us some hope, I think. And,
They do give us some hope.
And
I have hope, and I might have gotten my hopes up a little too early this year, but they've been fun to watch the first half of the season. The season's almost halfway gone now.
that's true. We're getting near the All-Star game.
It ends in a hurry, yeah.
Yeah. You have another one you might want to pick out of your
Well, this is a little updated anthem. It's a great baseball anthem. Take me out to the ball game first. Let's stop at the bank. I'll need a mortgage so I can pay. Parking the car is another outlay, and you pay big bucks for a hot dog. The cost of beer is insane, for it's, oh, my prices are high at the old ball game.
I had a version of that I call "Take Me Out to the Bald Game" that I used to do.
That's pretty good.
I won't do that, however. I'll spare our audience.
You know, Dave, Mudcat Grant, the old Cleveland Indians pitcher, died a few days ago, and when he was out around Boston, just after Ted Williams died, he was asked to relate any experiences he might have had with Ted, and he told about 1960 in spring training, the Red Sox and the Cleveland Indians both trained in Scottsdale, Arizona, and they had agreed to appear together in an exhibition game in New Orleans before they headed north after spring training. And they took the same commercial flight out of Arizona to New Orleans. And they got to the airport in New Orleans, and there were two buses waiting for them, one for each team. And there was a taxi cab to take the four players. There were two on each roster who were black players into the Negro district of the city, which was still rigidly segregated. And the black players for the Red Sox were Pumpsie Green, who had broken the color barrier the year before in Boston, and Earl Wilson, who was a very good pitcher. And the Indians had Mudcat Grant, and they had Vic Power. You remember Vic Power?
First
He was
baseman.
a slick fielding first baseman.
Yes.
So they get in the cab, the four Negro players, and they arrive at the Black Hotel and find out that their luggage has been mistakenly delivered to the White Hotel. So Pumpsie Green was the youngest of them, so he gets deputized to go to the White Hotel and fetch the baggage. And Pumpsie gets to the hotel, and he's just entering the hotel, and he can see that the baggage is stacked up right next to the registration desk. And just as he's starting to enter the hotel, a bell captain intercepted him. He said, "Where do you think you're going?" And Mudcat said, "Well," he said, "I'm just going to get the luggage that didn't get sent to our hotel." And the bell captain said very sternly and shortly, "Well, no N-word is going to enter this hotel as long as I have anything to say about it, so you can't get the luggage." And Mudcat, they end up in a standoff. And around the corner walks Ted Williams, who was just finishing up. He took a habitual walk around the city when he first arrived on a plane flight. And they knew each other slightly, not well at all. But Ted said, "Hello, Mudcat." He said, "How are you doing?" And Mudcat said, "Well, I got this problem," and he explains the situation with the bell captain. And Ted said to the bell captain, he said, "You're right, he shouldn't pick up the luggage. You should pick up the luggage." And he said, you get Mr. Grant's luggage, put it in his taxi cab for him, and be on with you. And the poor bell captain, the poor bigoted bell captain, it was Ted Williams that he was facing. So he said, yes, sir. So he got the luggage, put it in the cab for Mudcat, and Ted gave Mudcat a brief nod, headed up to his room, and Mudcat had a great story to tell the other players back at the Black Hotel on how he got the luggage.
Ted Williams, one of Ted's bigger hits, I guess.
Well, of course, Ted, not many people at all knew anything about Ted's Mexican heritage.
His mother, yes.
That his mother was Mexican. Ted had a lot of Mexican blood in him. And he kept very quiet about his, the Mexican side of his family, but he had a raft load of aunts and uncles and cousins, but he was light-skinned, and he had a Washpish last name from his father, Williams. So he never mentioned anything about his Mexican heritage, but it was one area he was a very conservative man and a lifelong Republican, big Richard Nixon supporter. And but he was very progressive on civil rights because he saw in San Diego how Mexicans were treated, and made that speech in his Hall of Fame induction, which changed baseball's policy.
Well, you have a great poem about Ted Williams.
I got several great poems about Ted Williams.
Several? Okay, well, how about one?
Well, several years ago, a fellow came up to me in the ballpark at Fenway Park, and he said, you know, I was in the ballpark the day that Ted Williams hit a home run in his very last at-bat. I said, well, congratulations to you. That makes you the 1 millionth person to have made that claim, which raises a few questions. Were you there the day of Ted's last blast? Were you part of his supporting cast? Were you fully grown or just a tyke? Were you sitting next to John Updike? 1 million people say they were, but the numbers don't concur. There were just 10,000 in the stands, rooting, cheering, clapping hands. Are you sure you're right to make such claims, or is your memory playing games? Some on their mother's grave have sworn, even though they weren't yet born. 1 million fans plus you were there. That's more than showed up all that year. Perhaps you're fudging just a bit. In fact, I think you're full of sheer admiration for Ted Williams and all that he accomplished while with the Red Sox.
Well, speaking of parks that hold 10,000, one of the things that's most exciting in 2021 here is the opening of the new park in Worcester, Polar Park, where they've got all these, Ted Williams had some memories in Worcester, and Worcester has a great old baseball history, too.
It has a great old baseball history. And the guy that wrote Casey at the Bat was a Worcester guy. Casey at the Bat was written in Worcester.
Really? Wow, I didn't know
by
that.
Ernest Lawrence Thayer. And so it's having a great resurgence in Worcester, which is baseball crazy right now, as you know.
Yeah, and they have a lot of great young players there, including Jeter Downs. I mean, who would have ever thought the Red Sox would have a Jeter?
I know it.
Part of the Mookie deal again, so we got a cute picture there of Jeter.
Duran, this Duran kid he's going to be up with the big team before very long.
He looks like the next Jacoby Ellsbury to me. Yeah, fast, quick. It's a fun take to go there. I
hope he can throw better than Jacoby.
Right.
One of the things that drove me crazy about the Red Sox in the early 2000s, even though they had great success, anytime a ball was hit to the center fielder, the runners on base took the extra base. They went automatically from first to third or from second to home because the center fielder couldn't throw.
Yeah. Well, that's part of being five-tool, I guess.
Yeah. But Jacoby couldn't throw. Johnny Damon couldn't throw.
No.
And now we're used to it with Jackie Bradley we had for all those years, who had a terrific arm. And Verdugo throws very well too, as does the guy out in right field.
Right, yeah, Renfro, right. Yeah, well, yeah, it's an exciting team this year, though. The young guys at Worcester are, I think, give a lot of hope too. That's a fun place to go see a game.
And the Red Sox, I think the way they're built now, they're going to build up that farm team, and they're going to build up their prospects again, because we had totally traded all our prospects away.
Right, right.
So we have to start from zero again.
So you have another story in the book there that we can do.
Well, here's a little number on Fenway Park, which.
Yes, I hope we'd
love.
get to that. We have a nice picture of Fenway Park. Maybe we can skip to that and put that up while
good.
you. Is this the one that you did at the 100th anniversary?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, oh, that's my favorite of yours, to be fair.
For 100 years she stood here, heard cheering, seen our tears, through all the good times and the bad. Fenway perseveres. She's baseball's great crown jewel, a treasure, this is why. Look out there on that field, you'll see the ghosts of games gone by. There's Babe Ruth standing on the mound, Ted Williams at the plate, and someone's great-grandfather just came in through the gate. That's Yaz patrolling in left field. In center, Freddie Lynn. Cronin's playing shortstop, but Pesky's coming in. Louis Tiant whirls and spins, and then he lets it go, and there's another leaping catch by Dom DiMaggio. Jim Rice lines one off the wall. Malzone comes in to score, and there's another. Pedroia makes a diving stop, or is that Bobby Dorr? Fisk hits one deep into the night. Will it be foul or fair? It caroms off the foul pole, and the cheers still fill the air. Dewey Evans' rifle arm just cut a runner down. There's Tony C., still young and strong, the toast of his hometown. Roberts steals another base, pitch running from Millar. There's Longboard, Raddatz, Jimmy Fox, and Pedro, and Nomar. Look closely, you can see them all. They come here every day. Fenway was and is their home. It's where her ghosts still play. And in the dugout by first base, there sits the current squad. Someday they will take their place with all the Fenway gods. That's why that place is magic, why she's made such a mark. She's 109 and going strong. And long live Fenway Park.
My God, that was, you have to update every time you do that for the number of years, right?
I know the number of years keeps slipping by.
Because you actually did that on the field at Fenway, didn't you, on the 100th anniversary?
Yes, we did, yeah.
You stood on home plate, right?
Yeah.
That was the first time you scored at Fenway, was it?
Yes, yes, it was.
Yeah. That's quite an honor, Dick. It really is. That's great. Speaking of honors and all that, they have this Fenway Writer Series that I know you usually open with one of your odes.
George Mitrovich ran that for years. He was very close to Larry Lucchino, and when Larry Lucchino was running the park before Larry took over as owner of the Worcester Red Sox, he gave George the opportunity to start this Fenway Park Writers Series, and George passed away a year and a half ago, and a couple of us have decided we want to try to keep the series going, and so we're doing it through Zoom calls now. And it's about ready to start on with in-person meetings. Lee Montville has a book out very shortly, and I think we'll do Lee's book. But our next thing is a week from now in with Jim Gray, who does all the radio interviews, big interviews with Tom Grady.
Okay.
Tom Brady.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So those have been fun. Of course, the Bo Sox Club, where I got to know you some. You always open up there. They've been shut down for the last year because of the pandemic.
Oh, I
We're
know.
hoping that can start again. But this is all a great coming out.
We're getting back there. Here we are. Here we are with you in beautiful Framingham, Massachusetts.
In this beautiful studio at
Yes.
Access Framingham. And,
Yeah.
And why don't you put up your book here and show maybe the
is,
camera can zoom in on that. That's the book Dick did.
Red Sox Rhymes, which is a little book I've done. It's available on Amazon.com and at various functions. Red Sox Destinations is a wonderful program that the Red Sox run, which they invite people from out of town into the ballpark, and they give them a special tour of the park and feed them lunch up at the.
That's great.
What's the name of it?
I don't know. There used to be the 406 Club. They keep changing it.
It used
now.
to be
It's
the
EMC
it
or
was the EMC
State Street
Club,
Pavilion
yeah.
or something like that.
And so I show up and I recite a few of his poems, and we sell some of the books to people who would like them, and everyone goes home happy.
Well, speaking of going home happy, we got about a minute left here. Can you wrap up with one of your favorites here? Maybe just open the book randomly and give us one, or you got a special
one of my
one?
favorite poems is on what a blessing baseball is to us. It lasts our whole lives. When you first discover baseball, when you're given your first glove, you find out at a tender age what it's like to fall in love. You learn to play, you learn the rules, what the game's about. There are 3 outs to an inning. It's 3 strikes and you're out. When first you see a big league park, those stands, that field of green, you know as long as you shall live, you won't forget that scene. So you root for the old home team, a favorite player choose, and you learn life's hardest lesson. There are lots of times you lose. Then you realize your parents and your grandfather, too, all have this in common. They love it just like you. And 7 decades down the line, that love is still the same for all the memories you have. What counts is the next game. For your whole life, it's part of you. Its praises must be sung. For to be in love with baseball is to be forever young. That keeps us old guys going.
That's a great way to end this.
Okay.
Thank you so much for making the drive
Thank
up
you,
here.
Dave.
And once again, it's another home run with Dick Flavin. Go out and find his book, Red Sox Rhymes, on the internet, and get the full picture. You had a little bit of it today. And come back and watch Fan to Fan on Access TV. We do this show a lot, and we rerun them now and then if you miss it. So, and be a baseball fan. Get out to Worcester and get back to Fenway. The doors are open again. So, thank you. Bye. Thank you.